me hit that real quick, and I appreciate it. Hopefully they'll be kind. I think we have it on today. But let me say this. I'm a big believer. I told you how to go. Kids didn't go to college. Some kids like me had that opportunity. I ended up paying my whole way through ROTC, actually. I did. Hence my appreciation for the value of that. This said, I know that we have more opportunities than there are people to fill them in skilled trades. This is for union, non-union alike. We need electricians, plumbers, pipe fitters, welders. We need all the above. I have focused a ton of resources on how we develop our workforce. We have apprenticeship programs that are like nowhere else in the country right now. They're in their infancy, but they're setting roots into the ground that are going to bear a lot of fruit. We started something called work-ready scholarships that are in 5 disciplines. You hear about Tennessee, they'll let everybody have 2 years worth of free education. Well, that's great after high school. But if you want to study interpretive dance, God bless you, you shouldn't be doing it on the taxpayer's dime. You really shouldn't, because there's no jobs in that. But there are 110,000 open jobs in Kentucky in just the 5 following areas: construction trades, logistics, advanced manufacturing, healthcare, and IT. 110,000 open jobs in those 5 areas. There's 60 sub-disciplines. So what we've said in this state, if you want to study in any of those 60 sub-disciplines in those 5 broad areas, we will pay the state last dollar to help you get that certification and that education. Because many of them don't need a 4-year degree, or in fact, almost none of them do. Pretty much none of those do. There are degrees, 110,000 of which you don't need a 4-year degree. You might need a 2-year, or you might need certain licensing and or certification and training. We will allow you to apply for any financial aid. You could be 18, you could be 48, it doesn't matter. If you've never attained associate's level or higher, and you want to study one of those, you get whatever financial aid you can, and the state will then pay the difference between that and a couple years worth of, because we need those people working, because guess what? When they're working, they're paying taxes, and when they're paying taxes, we're paying our obligation, paying our retirees, and it's this beautiful virtuous cycle in the right direction. So with that said, we're putting a ton into it. There's more than we're doing than even that, but this is a passion of mine because I've seen it. It's how I grew up, and I recognize that we need men and women to have the dignity and the satisfaction of doing things, fixing things, and making them operate. So thank you.
I've got 2 more short questions.
I know you have to leave. I just want to tell you, sorry, on the Bevin show, you're great, and have great relatives from Nevada State. Everybody was complimentary of you. Hang in there. For every one line of bad you read in the paper or whatever, there's rooms full of people that support you.
I appreciate it.
Don't give up the fight.
Don't worry. I wouldn't be running again if I didn't believe that, and I'm grateful. Again, for those of you who are people of faith, your prayers are appreciated. Power of prayer is a powerful thing. It is greatly appreciated by me and my family. We feel it. We know it. It sustains us in amazing ways, and I'm grateful to you for it. I will leave you with this analogy. Where we are right now in Kentucky, for any of you who grew up in a rural environment, this is like being in the barn in the springtime. Stuff has piles up over the course of the winter, and it's been a long political winter in Kentucky. So I'm the governor who has the joy of just shoveling out the barn. But I am an optimist, so I'm not losing faith because I'm an optimist, because deep down inside of me, I believe there's a pony in the bottom of that pile. And the next governor may be the one riding the pony, but I'm shoveling with a smile because I want to get to the bottom of it. We're going to clean the barn out, and then we're going to make this state everything it's capable of being.
Thank you very much.
This is Frank Simon with the rest of the news, and our special guest today is Cindy Marlow. I'm thinking of a Bible verse that says, "My people perish for lack of knowledge." We've had a tremendous massacre in Sri Lanka of the Christian people, and the media doesn't even want to admit that there were Christian people that were targeted in the massacre. So they say, oh, those were Easter goers, Easter worshipers.
That's what Obama and Clinton said on the Twitter, that they were Easter worshipers. Not only didn't say Christians, but they went out of their way to use longer characters instead of Christians. So that's where we're at in America.
It brings out the fact that George Soros and his billions are paying off the media, buying the media, and controlling the media, and they want to destroy Christianity. In my way of thinking, that's what it's all about. They want to take control, and he's buying them off with his billions so that they'll say what he wants them to say. So it's a major problem. Well, we got pictures. I don't
Yeah,
know
lift
if
up those pictures, Dr. Simon, of Sri Lanka caskets there.
here's caskets of Sri Lanka. There's
Show it on Facebook too over there.
359 people died because they were Christians. That's the only thing. They were targeted because they were Christians. And of course, that's happened in the United States several times too. The Christians have been targeted.
There's that Texas church several years ago, and they got almost every member there. Remember that one? And then in October 2018, the synagogue in Pennsylvania, where the 11 Jewish worshipers were killed, massacred. And back in 2015, so it's been going on a while, we're in South Carolina, Charleston. Unfortunately, Christians were killed in their church while they were worshiping. And that's just to say a few. There's others. We have the culture war on Christianity because we're becoming a godless nation, not the people, but the leaders, because they allow George Soros to get a hold of the media.
Well, he's kind of taken over the Democrat Party. Nancy Pelosi, Schumer are more or less under his thumb, do what he tells them. Well, Obama was the same way. He kind of controlled Obama too. And now they're pushing out and they want to take over more and more Christian people and they want to control the country, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and what I think is sad, instead of them looking at some of Trump's accomplishments, what they're doing are just constantly putting the guy down, putting our president down. They don't care that ISIS literally has almost been wiped out, done a lot less damage to the world since he's been in. And they don't care that taxes have been cut. AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is already talking about raising the taxes, and all the Green Deal, all that does is raise taxes on everything.
They hate Trump because Trump is for America. And he's doing a good job. He's making America great again, and they hate that. They want everybody on welfare, unemployment, all of that. So they just hate Trump because he is making America great again.
They hate the ideal of just anything Christian, like poor little boy Nick Sandman. He was a Covington Catholic high schooler, and his buddies went up to Washington, D.C. The media, before they got the truth, they went out there and they actually, I think, made fools of themselves. They insisted that Nick was threatening a Native American elder, and he wasn't. I mean, there they are attacking a 16-year-old. Now, could you imagine if the media attacked the Obama's daughters?
He was a Catholic, and they hate him because he's Catholic. Catholics are an important part of the Christian movement in America. Anybody that believes in Jesus, they out to get him.
Maddie Mueller was a high school student. I'm not for sure what state. I want to say Colorado, but I'm not for sure. She wore a MAGA hat to school. She was banned from wearing her hat to school because they said it could invoke violence. That just happened this year.
What state was that in?
I think Colorado. I'm not for sure. I don't know on that one. But she saw Hillary and Obama T-shirts and everything.
They were okay.
But her MAGA hat, conducive to creating violence. They've got something going on now where she complied with their wishes, but she decided to go ahead and do it anyway. I like to follow up on that, but she was real brave. I'm just proud of her that we had young students like that standing up for free speech. That's free speech to have what you want on your shirt, whether it's Obama, Hillary, or President Trump. And it's not even Trump. It says Make America Great Again. It doesn't even say Trump.
There have been a lot of attacks, massacres of Christians in America and around the world, and they are doing that for a reason. They hate Christianity. They are trying to shut us down. The question comes, what should we do about that? What's our response as Christians? I think it's important that we show love and we don't hate anybody. But on the other hand, the scripture says several things, but one of them says, contend for the faith.
And to stand up and be bold. Ephesians 6:20 was one of my favorite verses. We are to be ambassadors for Christ and stand bold as we ought to speak. That's what we're supposed to do. We're not just supposed to sit down and say, I don't want to hurt someone's feelings. It's not about hurting the feelings. When we correct a child, I hurt their feelings, but we're trying to do what's right. For instance, they're trying to touch a hot stove. If you hurt their feelings, that's not the problem. The problem is trying to warn people of ungodliness and unrighteousness. That brings to mind what we had to do in Frankfurt. If people want to get involved, we need to get more involved. They passed
That's
a bunch
right.
of bills this year, but unfortunately they were bills that I never dreamed of when I was Zach's age, who's the videographer in our station here. When I was his age, almost 30, he's around 27, I think, I would never dream that we'd have to pass a fetal heart bill abortion ban or the Born Alive bill. That didn't pass. But can you imagine that we have to worry about what New York City did and allow infanticide, that a mother can choose whether the baby can stay alive? That baby was born. I just
Yeah.
can't even imagine that we are doing that in America. That's something when I read in my books about Germany and Hitler, what all they did. What I think of is the Hitler days or any other days, or goes way back in the Bible when Baal, they put their children on the altar and sacrificed their children. So that's what we're doing in America.
Really, that's true. One thing that we could do as Christians in response to this attack by George Soros and his buddies is we're going to be doing this shortly.
Candidate night.
And the voter guide.
Yeah, that'll be coming out soon.
That's one thing. And the other thing is,
It's the primary, so you'll have to vote in your particular party, but we have some good candidates running on the Republican side, I think. So, of course, we want Bevin's to win. But we
Now-
have a lot of good candidates on the other places.
is we have the 3 courses that people could get involved in. The important thing is the Southern Baptists did a study a while back saying that 80% of the young people, when they get to be 18 or go away to college, that they totally leave the church.
I just read something the other day. I don't know where the 80%. I saw that 57% don't want to stand up for their faith. I don't know if that's a different statistic, but they're still Christians, but they're afraid to say anything in college because the environment is so hostile toward Christianity and Jewish people.
Well, this said that they totally left the church.
Wow, that's
Okay.
amazing.
That was a big study that the Southern Baptists did saying that the college environment is an anti-Christian environment.
They don't teach them real history.
That's
they teach
right.
them the doomsday that in 12 years, like Alexander Ocasio-Cortez is saying, oh, we're going to be gone in 12 years because of global
something.
warming. They teach that life isn't important, life isn't precious, that abortion's okay, that having sex when they're teenagers and giving out
Yeah.
condoms is okay. That's what they're teaching
See,
them.
the young people today, it's like going to war without any basic training or without any ammunition. We need our young people to learn the fundamentals of the faith, like these 3 courses. One is called American History, the fact that America was started as a Christian nation by Christian people. Creation science is another important idea that we need to teach our young people. In other words, modern science has pretty much disproven the theory of evolution because poor Darwin, he didn't know anything about modern biology and he thought the cell was a little drop of oil. All of the advances in modern biology.
It's proven the Bible
Yeah.
to be true because we're in the middle. AFA is summarizing the different topics. Is creationism and evolution both start out with the same evidence, but you can't test the past. That says only test the present to find out about the past. What that does is the presuppositions come out differently, and what creationism does is actually go along with science that the Bible is true,
Yeah.
where they do not. You can't test the past. That's just some of the stuff that they can learn in these books.
The other book is apologetics. In other words, the proof that the Bible is true, the proof that Jesus rose from the dead. There's very good evidence that Jesus rose from the dead. So from a logical and scientific point of view, it's something that every young person should know. The resurrection of Jesus Christ was proven. There's the empty tomb,
People he talked to afterward,
the
the
eyewitnesses.
eyewitnesses.
Several eyewitnesses, the fact that there is a Christian faith all of a sudden out of nowhere, that proves that there was something going on.
Alive. He became alive. The earlier a student uses these books that you just mentioned, courses, Dr. Simon, earlier they learn, the more They know how to defend their faith.
Right.
We're not downing the churches and the youth group, but they really don't know how to defend their faith. These books or these courses will help equip them to stand up against the world.
And the fourth point that proves that Jesus rose from the dead is the fact that the disciples were willing to die rather than to deny the resurrection. People do not die for something they know is a lie. Of course, they saw Jesus after he rose from the dead, and they were not willing to deny it. And they said, just go ahead and kill me if you want to, but I'm not going to deny the resurrection of Jesus Christ. So those four reasons prove that Jesus rose from the dead, and they're all in these books, and we have these books. We'd like to send them to you. It's tremendous. If you'll give us a call right now, 895-5025, 895-5025. Call right this minute. I guess it'll be an answering machine.
And just leave your name and number. What we'll do is just send out a chapter or so. It does cost money to put out these things, so we want to make sure that you're really interested in it, and we can give you ideas. Like you can do it in a church group, you can do it at home. We'd really love to do it at an after-school Bible study. I had a few of those a couple years ago. We need to get that started again, so the kids can be strong in their faith once they go out to the workplace or to colleges.
Cindy, I think everyone that's listening to this program today knows somebody that is interested in their children, training your children so that they can defend their faith when they're out in the world in a hostile environment. And people are trying to say, oh, that Jesus didn't rise from the dead. That's just a fairy tale. Well, here's the four reasons that prove that Jesus did rise from the dead. Bang, 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 bang. Give them the four reasons. They need to be able to do that. It's not enough to just go to church and sing a few songs and go home. There's more to it than that. We need to be able to defend our faith, especially against hostility, which is what we have now. Hi, this is Frank with the rest of the news, and we've got a tremendous program lined up for you. Our special guest is Vincent Palazzo. Hi, Vince. I'm good. Good to see you. There are a number of important events coming up, and I thought I would just go over some of these. The next thing on the schedule is the National Day of Prayer, Thursday, May 2nd, and that will be at 5th and Jefferson at the Metro Hall, and that will be very important. There are a number of speakers, and they're going to talk about, I guess you'd say, the cultural war and how we need help from God to contend for the faith. And then the next meeting that's coming up is Friday, May 10th. That's the candidate night. And that will be at the Meadow Hill Baptist Church on Miners Lane. And there'll be a free dinner served, chicken dinner, really good. Then we'll have all the candidates speaking there. All the candidates have been invited, but not all of them are going to show up. Some people just don't feel good about going to a church. Have you noticed that?
It's a sad state that our society is.
They're scared to death to go to a church. Well, anyway, especially if you're praying in the church, they get all upset. So that's May 10th at the Meadow Hill Baptist Church, and that's 5513 Miners Lane. And then the third thing we want to talk about is Drag Queen Story Hour, where the homosexuals are going to take over the library and promote homosexuality.
This is our library downtown in Louisville, Kentucky.
The main library.
A lot of times people hear about this and they think, oh, that's out in California or San Francisco. No, this is in Louisville. This is in our backyard.
That's right. That's a good point. It's on York Street, 301 York Street. They want all the little children they can get in there because they feel they can have an influence on the little children.
But our plan is to call the mayor's office, call the library, and stop it. If we do not succeed in stopping it, our secondary plan is to pack out the place so there's no room for kids and form a sit-in where we sit in there and pray and prevent children from being a part of it.
Now, let me give you out the phone numbers to call to oppose the homosexual takeover of the public libraries. The first number is the mayor's number, Mayor Greg Fisher. Of course, these are 502 area codes because they're in Louisville. 574-2003. 574-2003. Then the mayor has another number, 574-4545. That's Mayor Greg Fisher. They have to get his permission to take over the library. He could stop it. They did this a few months ago, and it turned out that the guy that they had to promote homosexuality,
the drag queen,
was a drag queen. He was also
a convicted sex
offender.
That was in Houston, was it?
No, I think it was here.
Was it here? It was
No,
here in
Houston.
Houston. Okay, yeah, that was in Houston.
Now, there was one here in Louisville, too.
The drag queen also turned out to be a sex offender. Either way, it's something we do not want our kids subjected to.
And they pick on little children. They know that little children are more susceptible, so that's the ones they go after. The other thing you can do is you can call the Metro Council members. Their number is 574-3902. That number again is 574-3902. And that connects you with the Metro City Council. And then the last one is the Louisville Public Library itself. The taxpayers paid for that library and built it, and now they're going to try to get the homosexuals to come in and take it over. So that's not right, and we should have a say about that as taxpayers, and that number is 574-1611. 574-1611, extension 0. And then they've got another number, 574-1712. That's 574-1712. So those are the numbers to call.
Now, I believe all that information is on the Facebook page and the AFA website. If not, we can get it up.
Which Facebook?
The Frank Simon Facebook and AFA Kentucky
and
Facebook.
AFA Facebook,
Yes.
both of them.
Yeah, we'll make sure it's up there.
Didn't we put out an email about that?
Yes, there was also an email that went out about it.
So if you want to get the emails that have a written copy of all this, just call our number 895-5025. All of these numbers are in Louisville, so it's 502, but it's 895-5025. And we can put you on the email list so that you'll be kept up to date about what's going on in Louisville and really in Kentucky. So that's one of the main things we want to accomplish. While Vince is here, I want to say that we're trying to get material out to anybody who's interested for these courses. Okay, here they are. Oh, you can't really see that very well, but they're courses that...
From Ken Ham, Answers in Genesis.
Yes, 2 of them. One is Apologetics for the Proof of the Bible is True. American History, that's from a different group. And Creation Science, which is again from Ham. But you say, well, what do you want to do that for? The Southern Baptists did a study a few years ago saying that I think it was 80% of the students that went away to college totally lost their Christian faith. Can you imagine that?
Well, the world is saturating them, and they're starting when they're young, when they're children, with drag queen Storytime, and they're saturating them with everything except God and turning them away from God. That's their goal, is to turn them away from God and get them to deny Christ.
That's exactly right.
So we have to train the children with the Christian foundation and morals that we grew up with.
These young people are not trained to defend their faith. They believe in Jesus, and that's all well and good, but they're people that are out to destroy faith in God when they go to college. And they've got to be prepared to defend their faith, especially, say, this apologetics, which is all the arguments why Jesus did rise from the dead, the proof of that, the proof that the Bible is true, all of these things can be proven. They've got very good arguments for that. So when you go away to college, people are going to say, oh, the Bible isn't true. Oh, Jesus never rose from the dead. Oh, there never was a Jesus. They're going to tell you about anything. This course is a workbook and a teacher's book and DVDs, and you can set this up in your church. Don't you think that's a good idea? You were just
Sunday
telling
school classes, Christian schools can teach us as a religion class. There's so many applications. You could do a small home group study with it, but it gives you the foundations and the tools to argue your faith. So many people are lacking these days.
That's right. There's proof about the Bible. There's proof about the resurrection. We're talking about Easter now. There's proof that Jesus rose from the dead. If he didn't, where's the body? He was seen by several hundred people all at one time. If this was a court of law, that would be used as evidence. And there's plenty of evidence that Jesus rose from the dead. The Bible is true. All of these things, the hundreds of copies of the Bible that show that they were written shortly after the time that they were talking about. So there's a lot of evidence to prove that the Bible is true. It's important for our young people today to get this evidence because the world is out to destroy their faith.
Oh, it is. It is.
And then, of course, American history. That's an excellent course. The schools won't teach you American history. Cut that out of the schools because they don't want you to know that.
It includes the Bible and Christ.
Yeah,
The school started out in the churches. That's where the schoolhouses were. Churches back in the day. Our whole foundation is based on Christianity and the values and principles of the Ten Commandments.
and the founding fathers, most all of them were Christians. So the Bible and American history is based on the Bible primarily. And people don't know that. The children don't know that. The world doesn't want them to know that.
In the world, instead of teaching them this, they want to teach them how to be drag queens and put on makeups for transgender and all this nonsense. Total opposite of godly principles and values.
Right. That's why we have so many suicides and drug problems and all of these things because the world is trying to pull them away from God. And then the third course is creation science. Well, now that is really important. I would say modern science has disproven the theory of evolution. Okay?
Darwin renounced his own theory before he died.
This is really important, but they still teach it in the public schools and they teach it in the colleges. So it's important to get the facts